Josh gets to cook. And I get to film over the top of his shoulder. How does that sound, babe?
See, technically, I don't know that I'm cooking. I am seasoning something and then just putting it in an oven to cook on its own. But, hey.
That's okay. What are you cooking it in? What is that thing?
This is called the Flavor Wave Oven Deluxe. Ooh. Ooh. But wait, there's more.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there really is. So Becky and I used to have this really cool thing called the New Wave oven. And we really liked the thing because you can literally, I think they're, as seen on TV, infomercial said, set it and forget it.
Actually, that wasn't their
That
slogan,
wasn't theirs? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
basically...
hey, that's, obviously, we watch too much TV,
yeah.
so...
Basically, you could take, whether it was chicken leg thigh quarters or chicken breasts or pork roasts or a half a rack of ribs like what we're cooking today, and you could just throw some seasoning on it, whether it was thawed or frozen, and stick it in the New Wave oven and turn the thing on and just let it cook and forget about it. Just let it do its thing. We had that thing and we used it until literally it died. We replaced the dome on the thing at one point because it had cracked because it just wore out. And then the motor on the thing, the computer thing for the heat sensor and timer.
Y'all, do you see him waving scissors at me?
I'm not waving scissors at you. They're right next to me. So,
but he's so tall, my arm is way up in the air trying to film his face and not the rest of him. So
anyway, we ended up purchasing, in fact, we found it at a thrift store. We found
thrift
the
store.
Flavor Wave Deluxe oven for like, what was it, like $8 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
That was basically in brand new condition. It was probably somebody bought it, used it 2 or 3 times, and then they were like, yeah, we're done with it. Let's downsize and donate it. So we picked it up, and it has been just as good as the New Wave was. So anyway, that's what we're cooking on today, and we are cooking, this is...
Oh, I was gonna...
pork spare ribs, and it is 5.97 pounds of spare ribs that we just picked up today.
At Aldi.
At Aldi, yeah. So basically all we're going to do is take it out of the package, pat it down with some paper towels to dry it off basically, and then we're just going to put a dry rub on it basically. We're just going to season it up with some salt and some garlic and herb seasoning and some Cajun seasoning just to add a little bit of spice to it.
And if you remember, I did this haul video a couple of days ago from the Dollar Tree, and that's where these came from. So if you can find these, they are pretty fantastical, so you might want to give them a try. So he's just taking that out of the package right now, and I'm trying not to be too much in his face, even though you can tell I am because of the look on his face. This is not normal, y'all. When he does this for us, I usually am in the other room because, quite frankly, we have a little kitchen. So, as my mom very jokingly likes to say, it's...
this is longer than I thought. It was just folded.
Whoo! Score! She says it's not a multiple behind at a time kitchen. So we're gonna have more than just one meal of ribs. Woohoo! Praise God for a really good deal and extra. So like he said, he's just patting it. Woo!
Now, a lot of people will take and like really like hardcore clean this, like cut all the silver skin and all this stuff out of here, and just clean all this stuff up really good. Becky and I have found with cooking it this way in the New Wave that is really Flavor Wave Deluxe. Sorry, that is not necessary with these.
It actually just melts right off
Yeah.
in here, and it's super juicy and moist, and they just come out really good. I think he's a keeper, y'all. He can cook.
So, we paused it really fast while I went through the process of cutting it to be the proper size for us to be able to cook it tonight. Then I washed my hands because I had meat juice on both hands, and while I am going to need to touch the meat with one hand to flip it over, I figure having a clean hand to be able to touch the seasoning and everything and not transfer all sorts of meat juice and bacteria and stuff around is important, because we don't want to get sick. So basically the rub that I use is just really super simple. I make all sorts of different rubs for all the things that we do, with a mixture of salt and garlic and all sorts of stuff, just random things that we pick up from the bulk food section of our local grocery store. But you can go to your spice section at the grocery store where you are. You can pick up the little envelope things, kind of like these, that are garlic, herb, and wine marinades from McCormick's. They've got all sorts of different flavors, and you can do little shaker things like what Becky showed you just a minute ago that we're using today. Make up what works for you, but you're just going to, once you've patted it dry, you just salt it and then put a little bit of that stuff, or if you've made a mixture that already has quite a bit of salt in it because of the pre-made seasoned salts and things like that that you're using, or if you don't use very much salt, just season it to your taste. Put together a rub that you can just rub the thing down with all these spices and seasonings. So I always start out with just plain salt and just give it a really good shake of salt. And folks, you need to, like, when you're looking at it from the perspective of, well, man, that's a lot of salt. Yes, it is a lot of salt, but it's going to be cooking and it's going to be dripping the juices out, and it's gonna be absorbing all of the salt into the meat and stuff like that too. So it takes more than you think when you're actually cooking with a rub. So yeah, go a little heavy-handed. So this is the garlic and herb all-purpose seasoning, rustic all-purpose seasonings.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay.
Rustic Tuscan style is what they call it. And then, like I said, you go heavy-handed. Go heavy-handed. Just coat it, because basically when this thing cooks, whether you cook it in your regular oven or you cook it in a New Wave or a Flavor Wave Deluxe or whatever it is, as it's cooking, it's basically going to create kind of like a bark.
Or a crust,
crust,
if you are not familiar with barbecue terms.
On the outside of the meat that will kind of seal a lot of the juices in and things like that. And basically you're just going to just coat it really good and then just kind of give it a rub down. This one is Cajun style all-purpose seasoning, spicy Louisiana classic flavor is what this one says. And again, just give it a good coating. And then just pat it, rub it down. flip it over. And do the thing all over again. Once it's all seasoned up and you rub it all down and you have it set where the silver skin side is down. So if you remember when I was showing before it was seasoned, that you have this side where you've got that kind of like a membrane.
Pull it up. Oh, it looked like it was a whole flap.
And a little membrane underneath there. That's called the silver skin. And you put this silver skin side down so that as it's cooking, all of those juices and everything are running down into it, and it is just causing all of that to liquefy and just turn yummy. So
did you hear that? We're putting the lid on and letting it turn yummy.
Yeah, so we're going to put the lid on it here in just a second. We're going to set it for the highest temperature our machine goes to is I think 350, because that's what the Flavor Wave Deluxe cooks at. On high is 350. Put it for 350 for 45 minutes to an hour. The longer you cook it, 45 minutes to an hour, the more tender they get, but it will literally almost be falling off the bone tender when it's done. Just set it and forget it.
Look at that. Looks amazing. Just like he promised, it's got that great crust on the outside.
And look where the meat's pulled back from the bones here. That's like it doesn't matter whether you're cooking pork or chicken or beef. That is the clue that it's done when it pulls back away from the meat.
Ooh. And there you have it. Big old stack of ribs. Good. I hope you're all having a very blessed day wherever you are, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.